Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So I waited till the NBA trade deadline was specifically over to talk about all the trades that went on today. I'm not going to talk about all of them. A lot of them are very small moves. Obviously, I'll talk about all the moves the Pacers made. But I do want to talk about just some of the bigger moves because I feel like some teams definitely got better. And I'm shocked that some teams did nothing at all. Just to start off, I just want to say I'm very shocked that the Lakers and the Warriors did what feels like nothing. They didn't make any big swings. DeJounte Murray didn't get traded, even though it was like very, very I would say aggressively reported that Atlanta was trying to get rid of DeJounte Murray. And I think we can all agree after watching him play ever since those like rumors came out that like he's not a guy that like Atlanta should be getting rid of. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a damn good point guard, and not for nothing, but there's not a lot of guys in the NBA or a lot of teams in the NBA that need a DeJounte Murray level point guard. And the ones that are, like, I know the Pelicans were rumored to be in the hunt for him, but they didn't get him. They were trying to acquire him all day. It didn't happen. The Spurs were a possibility as well, but it's kind of funny because like some of the guys that I was talking about trading in my last video actually did get traded, and it's not really a surprise, but Alec Burks got traded. So I don't want to talk about the stupid small trades like Kevin Knox and Simone Fontecchio, if I said that correctly. There's not a lot of trades that I think are like super crazy significant, but the trades that happened like after like 9 o'clock today, some of them were pretty significant. So the first trade I do want to talk about is actually between the Detroit Pistons and the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves got Monte Morris for Troy Brown Jr., Shake Milton, and a 2030 second round pick. I like this move for the Timberwolves, mostly because Mike Conley is only got 1 year left on his deal. I believe he's 36. They needed a backup point guard, and they managed to get it. At least somebody who's, I think, really, really good. Troy Brown Jr. is a nice piece. Shake Milton's all right. A 2030 second round pick is it's a second round pick. But the Pistons get a little bit more youth, and the Timberwolves get the backup point guard they need. So I think that was pretty significant for the Timberwolves. Monte Morris is going to be a very, very nice piece for them. They were a team that I was hoping would trade for DeJounte Murray, and it was very obvious that they knew they needed a backup point guard. It was obvious they needed another point guard, but Monte Morris is a nice fit for them. I think he's going to be very good. Now we get into the trade everybody's been waiting for. I've had people asking me about this all day. The Buddy Hield trade. We'll be doing these trades, I guess, in the order of which they happened. But the Sixers acquired Buddy Hield, and we got I'm going to say this name wrong, but I feel like he's going to get cut anyway. Furkan Korkmaz, Marcus Morris, and 3 future second-round picks. Now, when this trade initially happened, a lot of people were disappointed, and I understand why. Buddy Hield is one of the greatest shooters to ever touch a basketball, and we got Korkmaz, who's okay. Marcus Morris was salary filler, and the 3 future second-round picks are actually not that bad. In fact, one of those future second-round picks that we got is Toronto's this year in the second round for the 2024 draft. So figure that Toronto pick is going to be very, very early in the second round. So essentially, like, basically a late first round pick. I actually don't mind that, and we got, I believe, a 2029 second rounder from somebody and a 2030 second rounder from somebody. But I do know that those future second round picks are actually like quality picks. They're not bad. Korkmaz is okay, and Morris got traded anyway. So it's just the idea. It's like Morris is a guy that I had a feeling we weren't keeping. So yeah, we got rid of Buddy Hield. Did we get what I thought we were going to get for him? No, but at the same time, he wants more money than he's worth. And on top of it, it's like, The market for Buddy Hield, I've been saying this for a while. The market for Buddy Hield is not what Pacers fans thought it was. In fact, the market for shooters as a whole is not what people thought it was. I've been beating this drum for like a month and a half now, maybe 2 months, ever since the Pacers made Buddy Hield available. I've been saying it, like, the days of paying shooters like $90 million plus, $80 million plus is behind us. The league simply doesn't value guys who only can shoot threes as much as they did, almost a decade ago, 7-8 years ago, when Stephen Curry was putting the league on fire, just shooting threes. We are past that at this point. We are at a point now where most guys in the NBA can shoot a three-pointer. So the idea that Buddy Hield just does it better than everybody else, there's really not like a huge market there for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just... I don't know why people were thinking we were going to get first-round picks for him and stuff. I mean, it was a possibility to somebody who was really desperate, but 3 future second-round picks for him, I like it. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, I actually, in some instances, that's a little bit more than I thought we were going to get. And the idea that we got Marcus Morris, a trade piece that we were able to flip for another three-point shooter, I think the Buddy Hield trade actually worked out better than a lot of people think. So... That trade was pretty good. This trade was actually sneaky. The Raptors got Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji for Otto Porter Jr., Kira Lewis Jr., and a 2024 first-round pick. I'm just going to tell you right now, the Raptors getting Ochai Agbaji is fucking great. Ochai Agbaji is going to be such a good player. I'm shocked the Jazz gave up on him because that dude can stroke the three. The Raptors were looking to get some more shooting. I think Ochai Agbaji is going to be really, really good. He's a guy that I've been really high on. Jazz fans, I feel your pain because he's a guy that I was like, yeah, like he's a guy I was expecting the Jazz to give a whole lot more minutes to, and I don't really know why it didn't work out in Utah. I mean, I understand they wanted to get off Kelly Olynyk. I understand that, maybe Kira Lewis Jr., being he's a point guard, maybe provides something a little more incentivizing to you. The 2024 first-round pick is enticing as well. I don't know if that's via... I don't know if that has any, if it's from somebody else, but it's a 2024 first round pick. And it should, I'm assuming, be a high first round pick. So I don't really know, but I do know the Jazz got a 2024 first round pick out of it, which is why they probably gave up Ochai Agbaji. Honestly, it's a pretty equal trade for both teams, but Kira Lewis Jr. is a dude that I'm not confident in at all. But Ochai Agbaji, he's going to do some big things for the Raptors, I think. The Raptors are actually rebuilding relatively well for giving up OG Anunoby and getting rid of Pascal Siakam. They've now acquired Ochai Agbaji, Kelly Olynyk, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickley. I think their rebuild is going to be better than people expect. The Daniel House trade between the Sixers and Pistons is not anything super crazy. It's second-round picks, cash considerations, and a guy who was going to get waived. The Thunder traded for Gordon Hayward. They traded Vasily Micic, if I said that correctly, Trey Mann, Davis Bertans, and draft compensation for Gordon Hayward. This trade a lot of people were shocked about because Trey Mann is very good. He's a good three-point shooter. Bertans has 2 years left on his deal at $17 million a year. Vasily Micic, I don't know if I said that correctly, but who cares? He's a former EuroLeague MVP, and since joining the NBA, if I'm correct, I think is it Vasily Micic? Or am I thinking of the guy who just got signed to the Sacramento Kings? I don't know, but it's just the idea. The Thunder really didn't feel like paying Davis Bertans another year, and the Thunder are a team that are looking to make at least a decent run in the playoffs, and they really needed a wing that can score. Now, regardless of what you think of Gordon Hayward, like, when Gordon Hayward plays, he's a legitimate 20-point per game scorer. He's a guy that can come off the bench and get you some fucking buckets when he plays. Granted, I don't know if I would have given up all of this to get Gordon Hayward, but especially Trey Mann. But, at the end of the day, like, I understand why the Thunder did it, and honestly, I think the only reason they did this is because they really want to sign Gordon Hayward in this upcoming offseason. He is on an expiring deal, and this gives Gordon Hayward a chance to just get familiar with the Thunder organization. You know, you now have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Chet Holmgren, and Gordon Hayward, along with Jalen Williams, Lou Dort. I think Hayward is a very nice piece for them, and Hayward is a guy that's still capable of going out there and getting you 20 points per game. Is it gonna be like an all-star level 20 points per game? No, but he still has his nights. You know, like Gordon Hayward is a guy that, with as injury prone as he is, and with how shitty his contract is, for the Thunder to get him for a half a season rental and, you know, get him in the playoffs as well, I don't think it's a bad deal. We're talking about a dude who's a former All-Star, former max player. You know, he's a decent vet as well to be added to that team. Gordon Hayward is, I think, going to like shock some people in OKC. I think he's going to get a lot more opportunity in OKC than he got with the Hornets. I do think he's going to be kind of like their sixth man, but, you know, if he has to be their starter, he's capable of it, and I think that's why the Thunder wanted him. So Gordon Hayward going to the Thunder, decent move for the Thunder. This was an interesting trade, and I actually like it a lot. The Wizards and Mavs traded Daniel Gafford and Rashawn Holmes. So the Mavs got Daniel Gafford, who I think is going to be fucking phenomenal for them, for Rashawn Holmes and a 2024 first-round pick via the OKC Thunder. So this means that the Wizards are getting Rashawn Holmes, who simply just hasn't really been very good for the Mavs. And the Mavs get Daniel Gafford, who fits a little bit more of what they need. A guy who's going to rebound and, you know, do his damage under the basket, because Derek Lively is very good, but they really needed a solidified bench center, and Daniel Gafford was a starter for the Wizards, a solid starter, and he's actually on a nice value contract as well. I'm pretty sure he just got extended. So I like this deal for the Mavs way more than I like it for the Wizards. I get it. The Wizards got a 2024 first-round pick out of it from OKC, which unfortunately is going to be a late first-rounder. But the trade is pretty even, but I do think the Mavs did get the better part of this deal. This trade was really fucking huge. This was a trade that made me think like this was just the Knicks Pistons NBA trade deadline, because it seemed like these were two teams that were just swapping players all fucking day. But the Knicks got Alec Burks and Bojan Bogdanovic for Evan Fournier, a guy that I said was going to get traded, Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes, Ryan Arcidencio or whatever, 2 future second-round picks and cash consideration. It's very obvious that the Pistons are tanking. Like, I'm just going to let you know, like, this trade tells me that the Pistons are officially tanking. They got rid of Alec Burks. They got rid of Bojan Bogdanovic. They got 2 future second-round picks. They got Malachi Flynn, Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier is not going to be a guy that comes back, I'm assuming. The Pistons are selling. They realize their team is not good this year. This is them cashing in wholeheartedly on the tank. So Bojan Bogdanovic is a nasty bench scorer. He's 34 years old, but can still get buckets. Alec Burks is a damn good 3-point shooter when he's got it going. Granted, he doesn't play defense that great, so I don't really know why the Knicks traded Fournier for him, simply because Alec Burks is probably not going to get a whole lot of burn in Tom Thibodeau's system because he doesn't play defense. And Bojan Bogdanovic is just a guy who's going to be their sixth man. He's going to come in and fuck shit up off the bench. Maybe even be... He's not going to be a starter. There's no way that he's starting ahead of OG Anunoby, but the Knicks got better. They gave up a bunch of shit they didn't want to get shit that they needed, and I think anytime if you're a team and you can do that, I think that's not bad. Now, granted, I do think that the Pistons could have gotten a first-round pick for Bojan Bogdanovic. The idea that they didn't is a little shocking, but... You know, I'm not calling the shots for the Pistons, but Bojan was a guy that I thought you could have maybe gotten like at least a decent young player and a future first, maybe a late first-round pick for him. But, you know, I don't know what these 2 future seconds look like, but it's just the idea. I feel like for Bojan, they maybe could have gotten a decent young player or a first-round pick for him. But I mean, the Pistons got 2 future seconds. We'll have to see what they turn out to be. They could just be so close to the back end of the first round that they're essentially late first round picks. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know what years they're in, but yeah, good trade for the Knicks. As for the Pistons, they're selling. So the Raptors received Spencer Dinwiddie, who they're gonna buy out. So someone will sign Spencer Dinwiddie. If I had to pick anybody to sign Spencer Dinwiddie, I'm assuming it's going to be a team like maybe the Timberwolves. The Lakers are a team that could get in on that. Obviously the Nets aren't because the Raptors are planning to buy out his deal. They get rid of Schroeder, they get rid of Thaddeus Young, the Raptors. They bring in Spencer Dinwiddie. Another team that could maybe pick up Spencer Dinwiddie for some point guard play is the Spurs. They're really, really hurting at point guard. So adding Spencer Dinwiddie would give you a nice vet, a guy that is, he's still got some burn, and obviously, I think the Spurs could be a lot better with him, but obviously the Spurs aren't making a playoff run. I think we all know that. They're not making a playoff appearance, but adding Spencer Dinwiddie to that roster would at least provide a somewhat of a hole to the gaping hole, it would fill the gaping hole they have at point guard, at least for the rest of the season, or unless they plan to sign him long term. I don't know. This trade was shocking to me. This trade was absolutely a fucking barn burner for me because I did not see this coming. It was between the Mavs and the Hornets, and the Hornets got Grant Williams, Seth Curry, and a 2027 first-round pick for P.J. Washington. The Mavs love their forwards that can shoot threes, and P.J. Washington is on a very nice deal. He just signed a contract extension with the Hornets. He's locked in. Grant Williams was good for them, but he wasn't great. Seth Curry can shoot the three, but he's old. Seth Curry grew up in North Carolina, so sending him back to Charlotte, I guess, makes some sense. The 2027 first-round pick is nice, but I am shocked that the Hornets gave up P.J. Washington. P.J. Washington, I think, is going to be very good for the Mavs. He provides a little bit of what that Christian Wood deal was for the Mavs. Just a big that can stretch the floor. And P.J. Washington is young too. That's the cool part about this is they get a guy who is just signed I think his first extension after his rookie contract, and P.J. Washington can ball. We've seen what he can do when he gets opportunity. So, I like it. I like it for the Mavs. I think the Mavs are a team that legitimately got better throughout this deadline, with the pickup of P.J. Washington and Daniel Gafford. I definitely think they got a little bit more solidified, not by much, but I definitely think this was a big deal for them. P.J. Washington's a nice player. The Suns traded for Royce O'Neal and David Roddy. It's a nice pickup for them. The Grizzlies got future pick swaps in Yuta Watanabe, who is kind of irrelevant, and the Nets got 3 future second-round picks. So there go the Nets with they traded Royce O'Neal. They didn't trade Dorian Finney-Smith. Actually, they fucked up the Dorian Finney-Smith trade because somebody did offer them 2 first-round picks for Dorian Finney-Smith. There was multiple teams that did it, and teams just stopped fucking calling them because they were like, listen, it was obvious the Nets were trying to rip teams' eyeballs out for Dorian Finney-Smith, and teams were like, no, we're good on that. You can keep him. We're not going to, break our backs over Dorian Finney-Smith on trade deadline day. Okay, when everybody's looking to get rid of shit. So, I think the Nets kind of fumbled the bag on Dorian Finney-Smith. He's on an expiring deal, if I'm correct, too. I could be wrong. So, yeah, the idea that, he's got 3 years left on his deal. Okay, never mind. But still, he's 30. You know what I'm saying? How often are you going to get offered 2 first-round picks for a guy that's 30? And as he goes on and gets older, you risk the chance of him getting injured. You risk the chance of him, potentially playing worse as he gets older, which is likely to happen. It seems like they were trying to rip teams' eyes out for him. But Royce O'Neal going to the Suns is a nice player. He's a veteran 3-and-D guy. David Roddy reminds me so much of Draymond Green, just the way that I think he could play the game. So I like him for the Suns. He's a nice young player, but the Suns made out very well for that. Patrick Beverly went to the Bucks. They had defensive problems, and I don't think this trade is super significant, but the Bucks did need help on defense. Granted, I don't know how good Patrick Beverly still is on defense, but they traded Cameron Payne in a 2027 second rounder to the Sixers for Patrick Beverly. So I think the Bucks are trying to squeeze whatever little bit of defense they can get out of Patrick Beverly for this playoff run or championship run they're going to try to make. Will they get it? I don't know. That remains yet to be seen. The Pistons actually released Killian Hayes, which is shocking. I wanted to talk about that because that's pretty funny. Killian Hayes played so fucking bad that teams weren't willing to trade for him, so the Pistons just waived him. They released him. Killian Hayes will get more opportunity someplace else, but it's just the idea, Killian Hayes was taking up meaningful minutes for Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey dropped 37 the other night, and it feels to me, and I could be wrong about this, it feels like the Detroit Pistons were sending a message to Monty Williams here, because Monty Williams wanted them to keep Killian Hayes, and he was not playing Jaden Ivey because of it. And while I understand that Killian Hayes may be the better defender, Killian Hayes is a guy that is like very obviously not a part of the Pistons' future. And Jaden Ivey is a guy that they drafted in the top 3, and for whatever fucking reason, Monty Williams just refused to play him for like the past couple months. This means he has to play him. And they didn't. This just feels like the Pistons. Like, I feel like the Pistons could have traded him, but to send a message to Monty Williams, like, no, we're not even going to give you the chance to play somebody else ahead of Jaden Ivey. We're just going to fucking release Killian Hayes and let somebody else have him, and that way you now have to play Jaden Ivey. I mean, and they traded Monte Morris to the Timberwolves. Like, it seems pretty evident or self-evident to me that, like, the Pistons were like, yeah, Jaden Ivey, yeah, play this guy. Stop fucking around with Monte Morris and fucking Killian Hayes. Play the guy that we picked in the top 3. So, yeah, you know what? I'm kind of glad the Pistons did that, because Jaden Ivey's a guy who deserves to be getting more playing time than he has been, and I think the Pistons finally had enough. They're like, if we're gonna tank, we're gonna tank the fuck out of this, and we're gonna get Jaden Ivey some play time. So, second portion of the Pacers trade today is a trade that I actually suggested months ago, and everybody's like, no, we don't want him back. Well, guess what, motherfuckers? He's back. Doug McDermott ended up back in a Pacers uniform for Marcus Morris and a 2029 second-round pick via the Clippers. So, essentially a late first-round pick in Marcus Morris. We got Doug McDermott back. Now, listen here, boys, okay? I know there's going to be people, he doesn't play defense. Well, guess what? Buddy Hield was statistically like the worst fucking defender in the NBA, or at least in that conversation this year. And he was in like the very, very bottom. Doug McDermott not only can shoot the 3, he's shooting it at 43% this year. So he's shooting the 3 better than Buddy Hield this year. And we know what Doug McDermott's capable of, okay? He's 32 years old. He's almost the same age as Buddy Hield. Buddy Hield, I believe, is 31. So the idea that we got Dougie McBuckets back, and he's a guy that we can bring back significantly cheaper than fucking Buddy Hield, and we get to keep the 3-point shooting, I am fine with it. This was the whole purpose of trading for Marcus Morris. We took Buddy Hield and turned him into Doug McDermott, which honestly I have no problem with, and we got to keep a whole shit ton of second-round picks. So, honestly, it's not too bad. I like this move by the front office. I know there's people who were like, oh, Doug McDermott sucks. Doug McDermott has been balling his ass off in the time that he's been playing for the Spurs. And he's gotten less minutes this year, but last year and the year before, he was solid. He was a solid bench player. And Doug McDermott is probably going to come off the bench for the Pacers again like he did for the Spurs, but at least you get a guy who is capable of more than just shooting a 3. Doug McDermott can at least get to the basket a little bit. Granted, it's not great. It's kind of almost on the same level as Buddy Hield, but I'll take Doug McDermott over Buddy Hield all day. Buddy Hield, when the 3's not going, he's fucking useless. So, A lot of other small trades happened today. Another trade I want to talk about, this is the last one, is the Pacers got Corey Joseph back. Kojo is back for a second-round pick and cash considerations. The Pacers really needed more vets, and they got that. They got Doug McDermott, they got Corey Joseph. Granted, I think this means that James Johnson is done, but Corey Joseph and Doug McDermott are at least from like the Oladipo days. And I really like Corey Joseph because he's probably not going to play. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, I don't think he's going to play ahead of Nembhard. I doubt he's going to play ahead of TJ McConnell. But Corey Joseph is a guy that at least, you know, like, one thing that I noticed is when TJ McConnell can't play and Andrew Nembhard has to play point guard, Andrew Nembhard is a turnover machine, and Corey Joseph at least provides some insurance for that. Corey Joseph is still not a bad player. The Warriors are getting a second-round pick and cash considerations, but we get Corey Joseph back, and I'm fine with that. You know, obviously not the big splash I think we were hoping for. Miles Bridges was a guy that I was expecting to get traded, but I didn't know that he had a no-trade clause. So there was a lot of good moves that were made today. Granted, there was no blockbuster moves like we were expecting. For whatever reason, around the trade deadline, it seems like things are always more quiet than we expect them to be. Every year around the trade deadline, everybody gets all hyped and excited about guys that could be on the move. But really, the trade deadline is like the last day for teams to trade players that they've essentially become fed up with. You know, that's or guys who just simply like that's what I'll call it. Or guys that they just simply don't plan on bringing back, or contracts they would like to get off of. That's what happens around the trade deadline. Very rarely do you see blockbuster moves at the trade deadline unless a star is incredibly disgruntled. So, you know, that's usually around the trade deadline you get a bunch of minor trades like this. But honestly, the trades weren't bad. There was a lot of small moves out there that I just really don't care about, like Xavier Tillman going to the fucking Celtics for 2 second-round picks or something like that. Jaden Springer went to the Celtics for a second-round pick. You know, there was a bunch of really, really small shit. I was also shocked that the Trailblazers didn't move Jeremy Grant or Malcolm Brogdon, because those were guys that I expected to get moved. But a lot of like small to medium sized deals. And you know what? It's going to make for a bit of an interesting rest of the season. The 76ers, I'm kind of shocked they traded for Buddy Hield, especially with Joel Embiid being out now, but it is what it is. So anyway, tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more on the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.